Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty, we are free at last!
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're looking at historical moments so influential we wish we could step back in time and see them ourselves.
First set foot upon the moon, July 1969.
Woodstock, 1969. In 1969, a dairy farm in New York, 60 miles away from Woodstock, went down in history. For 4 days, it was the site of a massive music festival, with almost 500,000 attendants.
You'll hear stars such as Joan Baez, Arlo Guthrie, Tim Hardin, Richie Havens, Ravi Shankar, and many others. Saturday, August 16th, Canned Heat, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Grateful Dead, Janis Joplin, Jefferson Airplane, and The Who. Sunday, August 17th, Blood, Sweat and Tears, Crosby, Stills and Nash, Santana, Jimi Hendrix.
It's easily the most historically significant festival ever and is considered the peak of 60s counterculture. There were a ton of mind-blowing performances, like Jimi Hendrix's famous closing set. There was also Santana, who was made to play when they were miles away from being sober. It was followed up by anniversaries every decade until the disastrous Woodstock 99, making it a truly unique festival. Coronation of Elizabeth II. No British monarch had a longer reign than Queen Elizabeth II. This hindsight makes her 1953 coronation all the more historically significant.
Now follows the supreme climax of the ancient ritual. With St. Edward's crown, the crown of England, the Archbishop performs the simple yet the most significant ceremony of the Queen's coronation.
Famously, she was crowned queen sooner than expected, as her father, George VI, endured an early death. This meant she was only 25 when she took the throne. It was also noteworthy for being televised and cost an incredible sum of money to organise.
We have a new sovereign, young and a woman. Let us give her a coronation that is befitting of the wind of change that she represents. Modern and forward-looking at a moment in time where exciting technological developments are making things possible we never dreamt of.
In today's money, it would cost at least $70 million. Surprisingly, that's still roughly $25 million less than King Charles III's coronation. This means it would have easily been one of the 21st century's fanciest events. Justinian's opening of the Hagia Sophia. Few buildings in the world are as remarkable as the Hagia Sophia. It sits in present-day Istanbul, but was originally built in Constantinople, when it was the capital of the Roman Empire. It was constructed by Emperor Justinian I between 532 and 537.
Situated on a hill overlooking the Sea of Marmara and the Bosphorus, Hagia Sophia has gone through various transformations since it was built in what is now Istanbul in 537, and it remains one of the most important monuments of the world.
It then stood as the world's largest cathedral throughout the entire medieval era until 1520. While you can still see it today, its original opening ceremony was an event for the ages.
In 537, Emperor Justinian and his wife Theodora unveiled their church to the world. All who enter are awed by its size and the richness of its decorations.
The name means holy wisdom, so it wasn't dedicated to a singular person, but instead to their god's intellect. It became the heart of the medieval Christian world. When it opened, Justinian supposedly declared that he had outdone Solomon,
whose desire was to build the largest church of his time. According to oral tradition, after its completion, he exclaimed, "Solomon, I have surpassed you," referring to the first temple built by King Solomon.
Hernan Cortés meeting Moctezuma II. The Aztec Empire was incredibly diverse, made up of a plethora of cultures and people in the Valley of Mexico.
In reality, theirs was a civilization of centralized city-states with impressive levels of development. After all, Tenochtitlan was just one shining jewel among many. It's hard to wrap my head around what a sight this all must have been to behold.
At its heart was Tenochtitlan, a stunning city that sat upon Lake Texcoco, which has since been drained to make way for Mexico City. The empire fell when the Spanish Empire led by Hernán Cortés arrived and invaded.
After what appeared to be the start of an amicable relationship, Cortés imprisoned Moctezuma in an attempt to gain control of the city and its riches.
The expedition would be horrific to relive in its entirety, but seeing the moment where the two cultures met would be mind-blowing. You would get to see the awe on the conquistadors' faces when they see the stunning Aztec capital. Also, you'd get to see it yourself, something which has been impossible for just over 500 years.
This epic clash is visible to this day in Mexico City and elsewhere, not just through its historic ruins, but also its unique blend of Aztec and Spanish art, culture, and traditions.
MLK Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. If you ask people what the most famous speech in history was, the chances are high they'll say it was this one.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal.
On August 28, 1963, thousands of Americans marched on Washington, advocating for the civil rights movement. Roughly 250,000 people attended, including the leader of the movement, Martin Luther King Jr.
This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, "My country, tears of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing."
He famously proclaimed he had a dream in front of the Lincoln Memorial, a dream of an America where they are all truly equal. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act was passed, and a year later, so was the Voting Rights Act, which gave people of all races a vote in America.
Both the speech and the March on Washington were credited with helping secure the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. A landmark piece of legislation that ended segregation and banned discrimination on the basis of race or sex in the workplace.
Hamlet's premiere. It's unclear when exactly Hamlet first premiered, but we know it was written between 1599 and 1601.
To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune.
We know from the 1603 first quarto that it had already been played in London though. While it wasn't his most famous play during his lifetime, in the century since, it's become one of humanity's most culturally significant plays.
Alas, poor Yorick. I knew him, Horatio.
This means it would be a phenomenal experience to watch it performed at the Globe Theatre, with the cast Shakespeare personally selected. Romeo and Juliet is another we'd adore seeing the premiere of, but Hamlet is longer, so it's more bang for your buck.
To sleep. A chance to dream. Aye, there's the rub.
The Beatles at Shea Stadium. Really, seeing the Beatles live at any point in their career would be a remarkable experience. Out of all their shows, we'd most like to see their Shea Stadium performance. In 1965, the world was at the peak of Beatlemania. This was their second of 3 American tours before they gave up on performing live in 1966.
'Cause I don't care too much for money, money can buy me love.
This show had over 55,000 people watching, making it the busiest concert of their career. Thankfully, it was recorded and released as a documentary in 1966, but that's not the same as seeing it for real. Apollo 11 moon landing. Humanity can only land on the moon for the first time once.
If all goes well, Apollo 11 astronauts Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins are to lift off from pad 39A out there on the voyage man always has dreamed about.
That moment came in 1969, when Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins made the historic journey to our most famous satellite. The dream of visiting the moon is one shared by millions, but only 12 people have been. It would be an unfathomably profound experience to join the astronauts at their famous moon landing.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Failing that, just seeing it live on television would be a moment to remember forever. Maybe in the future there'll be more exciting moments for lunar exploration. None of them could match the significance of Apollo 11 though.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The Crystal Palace Exhibition. Also called the Great Exhibition, as the name suggests, it was one of the most exciting events of the 19th century.
Its grandeur does not consist in one thing, but in the unique assemblage of all things. Whatever human industry has created, you find there. It seems as if only magic could have gathered this mass of wealth from all the ends of the earth, end quote. So wrote Charlotte Bronte in 1851.
It was a massive international exhibition held in Hyde Park, London, during the summer of 1851. Tons of huge figures attended like Charles Darwin, Karl Marx, Charles Dickens and many others. Over 6 million people visited, which earned it roughly £186,000, which is almost 30 million today.
I think it was an expression of the age of utilitarianism, the idea that human effort ought to be organised for the improvement of mankind. And I think both visually and in terms of the contents of the exhibition, it very much fulfilled that purpose.
It was held in the Crystal Palace, a grand building designed specifically for the exhibition. It was 3 times the size of St Paul's Cathedral and remained standing until it unfortunately burnt down in 1936.
Some people would have bought a season ticket and came back time and again.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honourable mentions. Live Aid. Few concerts can match the significance of Live Aid. Building of Stonehenge. Seeing how they built this monument would have been astounding.
Why was Stonehenge built in southwest England 5,000 years ago? And what was it used for?
Oedipus Rex's premiere. Who wouldn't love to see a play performed in ancient Greece?
And then that play, that Oedipus thing? Man, I thought I had problems.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Touring the 7 Ancient Wonders. Only one of these wonders still exists today, and that's the Great Pyramids of Giza. The other 6 were scattered from Greece to Babylon.
The Great Pyramid of Giza, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus, the Statue of Zeus at Olympia, the Mausoleum at Halicarnassus, the Colossus of Rhodes, and the Lighthouse of Alexandria.
The window where they all existed simultaneously is surprisingly small. This would be some time between the construction of the Colossus of Rhodes in 280 BC and its destruction in approximately 225 BC. If it were possible to return to this century, words wouldn't be able to describe how incredible seeing all 7 would be.
The 7 wonders of the ancient world are perhaps the greatest examples of such lost beauty.
Not only for the wonders, but also for the ancient cultures and civilizations you'd get to explore. It would be a world where the reign of Alexander the Great is fresh in people's memories, and the Roman Empire is centuries away from dominating Europe.
Plans for the city's layout were drawn up in the latest Hellenistic grid style developed by Hippodamus of Miletus. With those blueprints to work on, the construction of this so-called Queen of Cities began immediately.
What historical moment would you like to see the most? Let us know in the comments.